Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to give about another 60 seconds for a few people to log in. So thank you for joining us. Just give us a few seconds. All right. All right, so this session is going to be recorded like all of our other sessions. So if you miss any information or anyone logs in later, they'll be able to get a recap and a full recap off of our website. So I wanted to say thank everyone for joining us today. Welcome to the opportunity to connect doing business with the Commonwealth of PA. My name is Aaliyah. I'm Director of MBE Services. So I want to thank everyone for joining us with this webinar series that we're actually starting called the Opportunity to Connect, because we want to make sure that we're connecting you with all of the opportunities in our region and making sure that you guys are aware of all the resources and tools available to help you with your business. So today we'll be doing a presentation with the Bureau of Diversity, Inclusion, and Small Business Opportunities, and they'll be able to give you an overview on how to do business with the Commonwealth and talk to you a little bit more in detail about the COSTARS program. So I'm really excited to present this information. I've heard so many good things about the COSTARS program. A few of our corporate partners work directly with this program, and they were really excited to connect me with this program as well. So I hope you guys are able to take everything in. If you have any questions, we have our resource partners here today. Today, our presenter, Ms. Audrey Smith, Procurement Liaison with the Bureau of Diversity, Inclusion, and Small Business Opportunities with the PA Department of General Services. You've probably seen Ms. Audrey Smith somewhere. I've seen this woman everywhere out here helping and championing for our diverse suppliers. So I'm really excited that she's here to present today. Audrey has diligently supported the needs of small diverse businesses and veteran-owned businesses on behalf of BDISBO for over 5 years. She's happy to help in any way she can. Aubrey also helps develop, coach, and mentor suppliers to become certified, successful, and she educates suppliers on how to navigate the Commonwealth agency structure in order to develop their businesses, opportunities, and relevant strategies. So before I turn it over to Audrey, I just want to let you guys know about some of our upcoming events that we have. If you guys have seen these event invitations come out or visited our website recently, we have our golf tournament in Malvern, PA on July 11th. So if you want to come out and meet a few folks and try out your golf skills, then we will be in Malvern, PA on July 11th. We also have the Central PA, Share Central PA Matchmaker will be virtual on June 23rd. So feel welcome to reach out to me if you wanted to see which partners will be present for you to join at the Matchmaker. Take advantage of those matchmaking opportunities whenever you can. Also, we have a launch of Diverse Marketplace. That's also on our website. That'll be on June 20th. So if you're a diverse supplier and you have any products, specifically products or services, you may want to join that info session. It's a great opportunity for you to be able to engage and connect with our suppliers. With our partners, corporate partners. So also just wanted to ask you guys, after the presentation is done, we will have a question and answer portion. So please either use the Q&A feature. You can add your questions to the chat and they will be answered at the end of the program. So without further ado, Audrey, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaliyah, for the introductions, and so honored to be invited to participate with the Eastern MSDC educational event. So I'm going to run through a slide deck presentation that talks about doing business with the Commonwealth. as it relates to my bureau within the Department of General Services, which is the Bureau of Diversity, Inclusion, and Small Business Opportunities. Then in the second half of the hour, we'll review the COSTARS slide deck presentation on how to do business with the COSTARS program. So our agenda for the first half is to talk about BDISBO's responsibilities. I'll provide you an overview of the Department of General Services disparity study upon which much of our program stature is based. I'll walk you through the registration process to participate in our small, diverse, or veteran business programs. I'll take you through a quick Procurement 101 to provide you with an oversight of the procurement processes that the Commonwealth follows. We'll touch on how to find opportunities and summarize the information provided. So the purpose of the Bureau of Diversity, Inclusion, and Small Business Opportunities and the programs that we administer is to ensure that the Commonwealth is conducting its procurement initiatives with an eye to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Simply put, the underlying goal is to ensure that the Commonwealth is engaging and working with vendors that are representative of the communities that we serve. Our charter, originally supported by Governor Wolf's executive order in 2015, recognizing the need for goal setting and results measurement and coordination across the agencies within the Commonwealth as it relates to ensuring increased diversity, inclusion, and small business opportunities, was further advanced by President Biden's executive order on advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities. So what we're doing is not only regionally important to the constituents here in Pennsylvania, but nationally important as it relates to our United States and making sure that we're providing opportunities for all of our residents and constituents. So as a brief summary, I'd like to talk to you about the responsibilities of BDISBO. Our charter is to create a more fair and equitable landscape where small, diverse, and veteran businesses can fairly compete for state contracting opportunities as prime or subcontractors. Some of the functions that we oversee as part of that charter is to manage a database of small, diverse, and veteran businesses. We have a goal setting program which establishes goals for the utilization of our small, diverse, and veteran businesses. As part of that goal setting program, there is compliance tracking on the back end. And of course, on the front end, our certification and verification operations for getting vendors registered. I'm directly involved with the outreach and education of our programs. And one of our major initiatives is to write policy to ensure that the programs that we're supporting are codified in PA legislation. So in addition to those things, we provide technical and vendor support as needed. The Commonwealth in 2018 concluded the first ever comprehensive disparity study. The disparity study was charted to look at 5 years of procurement practices by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and study the disparities in the participation of small, diverse businesses and veteran business enterprises in our state government contracting. The study was done by a third-party consultant who went about looking at documented contracts and solicitations from the assessment period, interviews from active vendors and non-active vendors that wanted to participate in Commonwealth contracting, with an intent to provide a report to identify the participation rate of small, diverse businesses, assess our marketplace conditions, specifically review our contract policies and program measures with an eye to legal compliance. So what the objectives was to provide evidence and recommendations to assist in the implementation of small, diverse business programs, which include our goal setting initiative, which is project specific goal setting and then also expanding some of our race neutral elements and program enhancements. Much of the information we use to educate policymakers and stakeholders about the legal and economic issues being faced by our small, diverse, and veteran vendors, and ultimately to provide a legal defense if the small, diverse business programs are challenged, and to ensure that we're meeting federal requirements. So some of the outcomes of the disparity study, in addition to enumerating the rates of disparity for vendors across the Commonwealth as it relates to various work scopes, it helped us to understand the Supreme Court's requirements to separate our programs by race and gender neutral programs and race and gender conscious programs, which is a Supreme Court requirement. So our race and gender neutral programs include our outreach efforts to all PA vendors. We established a mentor-protege program that unfortunately is currently on hold as part of the COVID restrictions, but we hope to reinvigorate that hopefully later this year. Our Office of the Budget instituted some prompt payment programs and platforms to ensure that vendors are paid in a timely fashion. We instituted some technical assistance resources, and Governor Wolf reinvigorated our small business reserve procurement modality and requested 15% of all agency spend be geared to small business reserve procurements. As it relates to the race and gender conscious programs, those are programs that look at vendor status based on race or gender. And the program that was implemented as a result of the disparity study was to set goal setting on the utilization of small diverse businesses and veteran business enterprises to ensure that we're reaching a rate that is expected based upon the demographics of our great Commonwealth. So what resulted was the stratification of our programs from administered by BDISBO into 3 distinct programs. We administer a small business program where any vendor who meets the following eligibility requirements can self-certify and be recognized as a small business vendor. And it requires vendors to be for-profit, US-based, independently owned, and non-dominant in their field of operations. Excuse me. They may have no more than 100 full-time equivalent employees and must earn less than $38.5 million in a 3-year revenue average. Our second and third program, our SDB and BBE programs, require additional third-party certification from one of 7 national third-party certifiers to be recognized in one of these diverse or veteran designations. So any small business registered vendor who wants to be recognized as diverse or veteran would complete a certification program in one of the appropriate designations from one of 6 national third-party certifiers that the Commonwealth recognizes. And the Commonwealth Small Diverse Business Program recognizes vendors that are 51% owned and operated as either a minority, a woman, a service-disabled veteran, an LGBTQ representative, or a disabled-owned representative. Our Veteran Business Program recognizes veteran-owned businesses and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses that receive their third-party certification and complete the appropriate applications within the Commonwealth BDISBO platform for registration. Now, just a visual representation of those 3 programs. So the prerequisite is to first be recognized as a small diverse business and do the appropriate self-certification registration. Then, as applicable, you can complete third-party registrations to participate in our small diverse business program or veteran business enterprise program. And we do point out that the service-disabled veteran business enterprises qualify for both our race and gender neutral program and our race and gender conscious program. So they meet both criteria for SDB and BBE program participation. So talk a little bit about the 3 programs that we administer. And I want to briefly walk you through the registration process to participate as either a small, diverse, or veteran business. The first step in order to engage with business opportunities with the Commonwealth is to register as a vendor within our Pennsylvania supplier portal. It allows vendors to register information on their organization and set up electronic payment records so that in the event that they pursue and get awarded a Commonwealth contract, that they can be paid. This initial registration results in the assignment of an SAP vendor number to each vendor, which just acknowledges that the Commonwealth knows who you are and that you are eligible to participate in the bidding process. And then the next step, as we've discussed, is as eligible to register with BDISBO in our PRISM compliance portal to be recognized as either a small, diverse, or veteran business. I provide a link to the website to our PRISM compliance vendor management tool and just basic instructions on the self-certification process to register as small, diverse, or veteran. Within the portal, it does reiterate the requirements for participation in each classification as small, diverse, or veteran. And then the third-party certifications and certifying entities under which you may be registered or certified for those designations. You do go into the portal, start an application. It is a step-by-step tutorial, and we do provide an application guide resource to help you in that process. But the entire process should be able to be completed in less than 15 minutes. What I do like to take a moment to do is just provide a basic overview of the procurement process of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Commonly, well, the procurement of any goods, products, or services by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is mandated by the PA Procurement Code. You can find instruction in all the rules that are part of the Pennsylvania Procurement Code and the Procurement Handbook, which I provide a link for you here on this slide deck page. But it outlines the two primary methods of competitive procurement for supplies, services, and construction. Typically, there are two processes, either an invitation for bid or a request for proposal. Historically, the Commonwealth predominantly procured via the invitation for bid. It's a sealed bidding methodology where the award is made based on pricing alone. Quite frankly, this was a less fair platform for participation by our small, diverse, and veteran vendors because it required vendors to be extremely cost competitive, which many small vendors may or may not have that luxury of being able to buy goods at the lowest available price based on volume. But what we found more in the last probably 5 years, specifically as part of and as a result of the disparity study, the Commonwealth has moved to a more best value approach, where they're considering multiple factors for the award of contracts, not only cost, but a specific consideration to the technical capabilities of vendors to provide the solutions, and then also consideration to the utilization of small, diverse, and veteran businesses. So just recognize that the request for proposal format is typically the procurement vehicle that awards the greatest flexibility for the Commonwealth to overlay its race and gender conscious programs, our goal setting program, to ensure greater participation by these small, diverse, and veteran vendors. Now, as part of procurement, most procurements, especially a best value procurement, RFP, request for proposal, RFQ, request for quote, or RFI, request for information, they are assessed for award based on their technical and cost components. So there's a stratification of the percentage of points that are being evaluated for award of the contract. But as we've talked about briefly, our goal setting program that incentivizes small, diverse, or veteran participation becomes a responsiveness requirement and requires vendors to respond to the commitments, agreeing to meet them or requesting the appropriate waivers to them by the bid close due date and time. I do mention in my presentation the other procurement programs, other than just basic RFP, RFQs, best value procurements. There's our invitation qualify, which is a multiple award contract system. And I provide links to that website and platform on this slide deck page. But then also the COSTARS program, the cooperative purchasing program that we'll discuss at the end of this presentation, the second half of our call. I do want to point out that there are platforms that are used for construction projects coming from the Commonwealth. For smaller to mid-value construction projects valued up to $400,000, we employ a JOC platform, a job order contracting platform. And I provide resources for education on that modality and a resource for you to reach out to, and Mr. Curtis Burwell. But then also for projects based over $400,000 for best value procurement, those procurements are processed via our Public Works division. And I provide information on the Public Works design and construction bidding process and the e-builder platform under which construction projects are advertised. Now I'm going to take a couple minutes to kind of review the opportunities available with the Commonwealth and how to find them. The Commonwealth has a public portal under which they advertise all of their public procurements called the e-marketplace website. And I do provide a link on this slide deck page to a tutorial guide that will assist you in locating and responding to solicitations within the e-marketplace platform. But simply you would proceed to the DGS homepage at www.dgs.pa.gov, follow the link for the e-marketplace website, and then it will take you to the website where you can access various tabs or keystones to access information. So you'll see that there's an area for solicitations where you can see any current solicitation valued over $10,000. There's a specific tab that will drive you to the invitation to qualify contracts. There's a tab for upcoming procurements. We ask procurement professionals within the Commonwealth to post their upcoming expected procurements in this website for notification of vendors. Things can be posted there anywhere from a few weeks prior to an expected solicitation being made public up to 3 to 5 years, letting you know the upcoming expiration date on a contract. And then, of course, there's information on sole source and emergency procurements, which can be found on the e-marketplace website. I do provide a page here that kind of provides more explicit definition of each of the tabs within the e-marketplace website. And you can look at that more closely as you become interested in pursuing Commonwealth opportunities. I do point out that the Commonwealth utilizes a number of bidding portals according to the procurement method of procurement. And those bidding portals include Jagger for the procurement of materials or services, eBuilder for the procurement of construction related services. And then some systems or agencies do use our SAP SRM platform for some electronic bidding tools. There's one important thing that I recommend to every vendor who takes the time to get registered and receive an SAP vendor number. If you're going to look for opportunities in the e-marketplace website, it is a manual process to review that website and search for bids or solicitations related to your industry. But an easier system is to follow our e-alert subscription service. When the Commonwealth procurement professionals create and advertise a solicitation to procure a good, a service, or a construction project, they must identify a unique commodity code for that service or work scope, identified by its UNSPSC commodity code. So it allows us to offer this automated platform upon which vendors can register and enter any applicable UNSPSC codes that they can provide services or support to, so that when a related solicitation related to that commodity code is issued within eMarketplace, it will activate an automated electronic notification to your registered email address, notifying you that a solicitation has been posted in the platform related to a commodity code for which you have registered. So it's important that you follow that. I do point out that there's a DGS Supplier Search database that registers, that you can search for vendors that are registered in any of the 3 BDISBO programs as small, diverse, or veteran. It also is comprised of vendors that are participating in an ITQ, invitation to qualify contract, as well as vendors who are participating in the COSTARS vehicle. So I do point out the DGS Supplier Search tool. If you're registered as a vendor, make sure that you come in and check your profile within the DGS Supplier platform by looking up your vendor name. This is also a good tool to kind of look up your competitors, look at a particular work scope or commodity code that you might support to see what vendors are registered with the Commonwealth to perform that service or function. It provides contact information in the event that vendors are trying to partner in order to meet participation goals for the utilization of diverse or veteran businesses, and also to identify vendors for our small business reserve procurements. I do provide some resources to, just as a summary, the vendor process, what resource you would engage depending upon what you're trying to accomplish. So getting registered as a vendor, you'll go to the PA Supplier Portal. To register as small, diverse, veteran businesses, you would engage the PRISM database by BDISBO. For the automated notifications, e-alerts, bidding opportunities can be found both in the PA Supplier Portal and eMarketplace. And if you want to research the procurement methods and vendor tools, you can use the PA Supplier Service Center. And then also how to manage your profiles either in PRISM database or the Supplier Service Center. I do provide some links for some portals for more information for you to do some research to see how these various portals or tools might be beneficial to you. And that's about the entirety of the presentation as it relates to BDISBO, the Bureau of Diversity, Inclusion, and Small Business Opportunities. Shall we pause here for a moment to engage in case there are any questions relative to that section? Aaliyah, are we accepting?
Thank you, Audrey.
questions?
I was about to ask that too. So thank you so much. That was a wealth of information. Thank you for bringing us up to speed on doing business with the Commonwealth. So can you go back to the slide? The last slide, they must be trying to copy down that information. Yes, the links to the portals. So we are going to send this to you guys. I was actually trying to grab them and put them in the chat, but I wasn't able to do that. So what we'll do is make sure that you guys get this presentation and you'll be able to take your time, look over this information and grab some of these links and contact information. There's a lot of resources. So we want to make sure that you guys are very aware of these tools. Where do I register to do business with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania? PA Supplier Portal. Are you able to see the chat, Audrey?
Let me see if I can hit it. Let's go there. Oh, I see what you're doing, Jagger.
Oh, no,
I see, yes, I cut and pasted everything in there. Aren't you wonderful, EMSDC?
Oh, first of all right, I have to acknowledge Meg Markley. She's Director of Administration, and she is the best. So
Working in the background, getting it done, Meg.
yeah, she gets it done, that's for sure.
Thank you.
So Meg put the chat right there in the chat for you guys, and you also get the follow-up survey, and you'll get some information. Okay. So thank you for asking that question. Does anyone else have any other questions before Audrey moves on to the next presentation, specifically about what she just went over?
Yeah, and this slide deck has contact information for our bureau, so don't feel compelled to write everything down right away. Wait till Aaliyah and EMSDC distribute the slide deck file, and then take your time going through those links to educate yourselves on the various programs. And after you've gotten some basic education, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll try to take you from where you are in that moment to the next step.
Right,
Okay?
and you'll have it as something that you'll have, as your tools that you'll have with you. So this is also another question, Audrey, from Tina. If our company was registered before, should we register it again?
Well, with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, if you're registered as an SAP supplier, that registration should be long-term. You shouldn't have to go to do anything additionally. But if you're registering with the BDISBO vendor management tool as either small, diverse, or veteran, they are 2-year expiration for those registrations. And we do have an automated notification that will send an email to the registration email 30 days prior to the expiration of your certification. 15 days prior, we'll send a message the day of your expiration, and then you have an additional 15-day grace period after the final day of your expiration to renew. Anything beyond the 15-day grace period, you would have to go back and re-register as a new vendor. And the PA DGS Supplier Database that I referenced, if you have any question as to whether or not your registration is still active, go to that DGS Supplier Database, put in your company name, and see if you have an active certificate. If not, then you'd need to initiate a new registration as applicable for small, diverse, or veteran business enterprise designation.
Well, thank you for breaking that down, because I was going to ask how often do they have to recertify. So there it is. Audrey has answered that question. And do you guys have any other questions specifically pertaining to this very thorough information provided? And you will be able to go back over it. And this session is recorded too. But if you have any other questions before we move on, please let us know, and we'll try to get them answered from Audrey while she's here.
Okay, and if you give me a hot minute, I'm trying to get the COSTARS slide deck presentation up here. If you give me 1 minute.
Nice.
Then we'll hop into that version, hopefully. And I'll apologize just in advance. My counterpart, Felicia Campbell, who typically does this presentation, is feeling a bit under the weather today. So she asked me to deliver the presentation on her behalf. I have heard it numerous times, but I will acknowledge I am by no means an expert on the COSTARS program. I am generally knowledgeable, so I feel fairly comfortable in delivering the presentation here today, but we will defer back to Felicia and her contact information for you to follow up with directly if you have any specific questions that I can't help you with. But I'll try to answer what I can knowledgeably respond to. So we're going to talk about COSTARS, our local public procurement sales platform. So the COSTARS program is set up to provide contracts for what we called LPPUs, local public procurement units. And LPPUs are state affiliated entities. So they're not like my agency, the Department of General Services or the Department of Environmental Services. They're not a direct state entity, but they do receive state funding in large measure and do have a more indirect relationship with the Commonwealth. So the Commonwealth has set up the COSTARS program to support their needs, especially as it relates to public procurement. So these public procurement units include political subdivisions, local municipalities, school districts, your capital intermediate units, tax exempt nonprofit educational entities or public health institutions, your public authorities, nonprofit fire rescue and ambulance companies, and any other entity that depends on public or expends public funds for the procurement of supplies and services would be eligible to participate in the COSTARS program as an LPPU. So there are the entities that would be buying things. And the reason we need vendors involved is we need vendors to provide the solutions to the things needed by the Commonwealth. So benefits of participating with the COSTARS program as a participant is that membership in the program is free. And as it relates to those LPPUs, it reduces the cost and time of the public bidding process so that they don't have to go out and staff a procurement division for all of their procurement needs. They're allowed to use these vehicles under which the Commonwealth has followed the public procurement state guidelines for public bidding. It's a much more flexible process than each entity initiating and conducting their procurement initiatives independently. And it allows for customization. So you can take a COSTARS contract and customize it to the needs of your specific entity. It provides for a more efficient use of taxpayer funds and provides a solution to a broad range of supplier needs. So let's look at some of the data. They're looking at over 9,000 local procurement units participating as members in the COSTARS program, with over 2,000 suppliers meeting their needs. In the last fiscal year, it represented over $1 billion in Commonwealth contracting. So the COSTARS contracts are developed when a statewide contract supplier base is reduced by more than 50%, or created for use exclusively by the LPPUs based on their need. And the contracts are awarded to all responsive and responsible bidders. So when a COSTARS contract comes out, any responsive or responsible bidder, meaning they're capable of meeting the need of the scope of work and provide a cost competitive rate, then they will be issued a COSTARS contract under which any of these LPPUs can then independently and individually reach out and negotiate to procure from, piggybacking off of that COSTARS contract. So COSTARS administers 36 contracts, and that engages over 100 participating suppliers. So the purpose is to issue a contract to every responsive and responsible bidder, providing competitive pricing with a contract ceiling price, and allowing for customization within the scope of the contract to be more broadly used by the participating entities. So the types of products that are procured via COSTARS range from copiers and multifunction devices, IT hardware, food, software, janitorial supplies, recreational equipment, wastewater treatment consumables, emergency responder equipment and support. So it's a wide range of supplies and services. So most vendors, when you first get involved with the Commonwealth, we do recommend that you review the COSTARS procurement website to understand whether or not there is a commodity of work that you can support with your business function. So it expands to traffic lights, medical supplies, vehicles, theaters, AV equipment, window drapes, groundkeeping services, signs. So almost anything you think of, COSTARS probably has a contract related to that you as a supplier might be able to participate and provide your services as COSTARS vendors. So the COSTARS contracts are trackable or traceable, as I said, through the e-marketplace website, part of my previous presentation. So some of the scopes of work that can be found within the COSTARS contracts would be HVAC equipment, heavy duty construction equipment, IT services, vehicle supply equipment, and of course, service contracts. So the importance of becoming a COSTARS authorized supplier is that you have access to sell your goods and services on a pre-negotiated contract via the Commonwealth to hopefully expedite their procurement process at the LPPU level. So there are benefits to the local procurement units in becoming members to streamline their procurement process, but it's also benefits to the suppliers as well. And those benefits include, enhancing your supplier base of customers that you have access to. You have access to the marketing materials of COSTARS to add to your sales literature to identify yourselves as a COSTARS approved merchant or provider, and hopefully increase your sales or profit. It really is straightforward and easy to use, reducing the time of public bidding, and free up the costs associated with that public procurement process. So it reduces administrative fees as part of participation by small, diverse, or veteran businesses based upon your status as a small, diverse, or veteran business. Now, the biggest responsibility is that you fully understand the contract terms and negotiations of the COSTARS contracts, and that you as a vendor comply with all terms and sell only the items and services that you have been awarded as part of the COSTARS contract. There is a quarterly reporting capability that allows you to see where your sales are coming from, and also as a vendor to see which entities are being used. There is an annual administrative fee for participation by vendors, and I did state that there's a discount rate available for BDISBO small, diverse, or veteran businesses. And it allows you to create and maintain a profile within the PA Supplier Portal and the COSTARS Supplier Gateway as another marketing tool in your armamentarium. We talked about the discounted rates for our small, diverse, and veteran businesses. The base rate for general vendors to participate on a COSTARS contract is an annual $1,500 fee, but it is greatly discounted for our verified small and small diverse businesses and our small businesses. So the steps in registering is to, as I stated on my presentation with BDISBO, is the Supplier Service Center to get registered to get an SAP vendor number. Second step, going to BDISBO's PRISM website to register as applicable for recognition as small, diverse, or veteran status. And then go find the appropriate COSTARS bid package and submit a bid response to that COSTARS contract in order for it to be reviewed and assessed for a contract. And then the only thing after that is to pay your annual administrative fee once you're awarded a contract within COSTARS. Some pictorial representations of the PA Supplier Portal that you'd enter to go to eMarketplace and ultimately register for your vendor number, taking you to the Supplier Service Center. As it said, there's a registration guide, guide to navigate the supplier portal, and then resources for e-alerts and resetting passwords. If you don't have an EIN number, there is a direction on the IRS website in order to help you understand how to apply for one. If you're small, diverse, or veteran, you'll have to certify with BDISBO first before completing your COSTARS application so that you are eligible for the appropriate discounts. And we've talked about that process by going to the DGS website, going to Small Diverse Business website, and then a little more summary of what we talked about of registration, the bidding opportunities, and the fees associated. Now what we're showing you here is in eMarketplace, the COSTARS contract tab on how you can view and search for active COSTARS contracts to see which vendors are currently named on a contract. So it seems like our sample is for various fuels, tanks, and wagon delivery. And you'll see if you search by that contract keyword for oil, it lists the appropriate contracts and the vendors that are approved as suppliers on that COSTARS contract. So for more information, go to the DGS homepage and follow the drop down to the COSTARS website, and then you can complete the COSTARS election to participate form if you'd like to participate as a vendor. Then there is a tab where you can look for the bidding opportunities to find the full list of contracts that are eligible for bidding. And here's a pictorial representation of that. So COSTARS #1 contract is for copiers, document imaging, and multifunction devices. And each contract 1 through 36 covers or encompasses a specific commodity code of service or supply. So once you find the specific COSTARS contract that you're interested in, you'll follow the link to the invitation for bids and follow the instructions within the bid packet on how to reply, and then ultimately select the Bid Now tab, where it will ask you to register for that specific COSTARS contract. You'll have to look up your vendor number through its EIN number or SAP vendor number to enter the system and find your organization. And then it allows you to start sending in POs for your active contract and receive work. Now, I'm not quite as adept in that system, so I don't want to take you through too much of that supplier PO and payment detail file. If you have questions regarding that process, you would want to deal directly with Felicia. But COSTARS does offer a lot of resources, including online training that's available to vendors on how to access the gateway, how to complete the bidding process, reporting sales within the system, and searching contracts and awards. So it is a one-stop shop, so to speak, as it relates to COSTARS supporting the local public procurement units. You can search the contracts on the COSTARS website. Oh, the member processing process. So this is how you would work within the system when you're engaged in a live contract. And I'll leave that for Felicia to expand upon, because I don't directly get myself involved in that component of COSTARS. So it does provide information on the COSTARS website on your own organization, the eligibility for member participation, and a special portal for vendors to register and administer their contracts within the system. So I think she's walking you through some searches. Within COSTARS, there is no requirement for members to purchase from any one supplier. So these are multiple award contracts. When you participate on a COSTARS contract, it doesn't really guarantee you any volume of sales. It really allows you access to market to these vendors in the COSTARS program and to promote your products directly to them for independent sales with each entity within the COSTARS program. So just pointing out, there's a newsletter that you can access, some support guides for vendors, and as well as the training modules that are available to you. If you have any more specific questions on the COSTARS program, and I do apologize for not being as probably well-versed and fluid in my discussion as Felicia may have been, but feel free to take down this information and reach out to COSTARS and Felicia directly for some more clarity regarding their programs and how to get involved. So what time do we have here? Oh my gosh, I actually stayed fairly good on time. I see we have 10 minutes till. That's our entire slide deck presentation. So I guess I could open it up to some general questions. We can go to the chat room to see if there's anything that I might be able to answer relative to the COSTARS program.
Thank you, Audrey, so much. I think you may have answered this question, but I do see one question that popped up that's asking, does COSTARS include energy supply contracts? I did see that you're able to use the feature to search through the contracts that's on the marketplace, that's on the COSTARS website. But if you have any more information specifically about energy supply contracts, or is that something that he should probably forward over to?
I'll be frank with you, I don't know the extent and details of all the 30+ contracts that COSTARS administers. My recommendation would be for that vendor to go to the COSTARS website and search for an energy contract. And if you don't see anything, reach out to them directly to make sure you haven't looked over something that might have been part of another named contract type. So I don't want to say no, but I can't wholeheartedly say yes because I don't have an exact answer to your question.
All right, thank you so much. And then we have another question from Janice. What would be the best way to approach opportunities on building design and engineering service?
I don't know what you mean. The e-marketplace website is where all of our procurements are housed. So my first recommendation would be go to the e-marketplace website. You'd want to search, I think, using the radio button for public works procurements, because typically building design and engineering services are mostly procured with our construction projects. And I do believe if you go to the PA-DGS website, there is a whole section on construction and building design and engineering services. So how to get engaged with the design build procurements, as well as the general construction procurements. So my first recommendation would go to the e-marketplace website to search for active procurements, go to the DGS website for construction and design services. And then I do believe there are contacts and resources within those divisions for more support and direction.
So thank you. That was definitely a good question as well. And I actually have a question, Audrey. Are you familiar with, when I was at a presentation with PGW, they were saying once you become one of the preferred vendors and you're vetted and you go through all the registrations, of becoming a supplier with a COSTARS supplier, then some of the public utility companies or whoever's on here as a buyer, once you're vetted, it's easier for them to select you for upcoming projects. So if you get hired for an engineering project from one company, then they more than likely will try to use you for other projects coming up because you're already vetted and you're already been approved as a vendor.
Yeah, the COSTARS platform gives a lot of credibility to your name, especially if you can work on one or more contracts to prove your capabilities and business value. And it goes a long way to say that you've worked on one contract with an entity to increase your success with others, or to broaden your opportunities within a single entity. So yes, there is great value in leveraging COSTARS. And quite frankly, it's a much easier nut to crack, so to speak, in moving from private industry in marketing and sales to more of a government structure. Going straight into trying to sell your products or services to a government entity like the state of Pennsylvania. There are 26 procuring agencies within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, with locations and satellite offices all across our great wide state. So cracking a nut like a Department of Environmental Protection across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is much harder than trying to first, open a business and sell your products or goods to the people in your neighborhood. But then the second step of growth, leveraging a platform like COSTARS that provides you some more easy access to a vendor pool or constituents that might be interested in your product. And then also a way to leverage your success in that platform with other vendors within that pool.
For sure. Thank you so much for that. So we do have, I believe Felicia's information was on this slide, but at the end, we're going to share everything with you guys. So you'll be able to follow up with Felicia if you have any specific questions that you weren't able to get answers to with this presentation. But I really want to thank you, Audrey, for your time and your dedication to diverse suppliers. Taking over for Felicia today as well, definitely very commendable. So I really appreciate that. And I'm just looking to see if I missed anything in the Q&A or anything. These presentation slides had a lot of information, so this is why we may not have a lot of questions, but don't be shy. If you guys want to speak directly to our representatives, we'll provide that information if you don't have anything for us now.
Certainly, feel free to reach out to the Commonwealth, either at BDISBO or at COSTARS, to get more specific direction and pose questions. I do ask that, if you're interested in COSTARS or you're interested in BDISBO or some of our procurement units, at least go onto our website so that you have a general knowledge of what our program entity is about. And then, of course, Felicia, myself, or anyone else you reach out to will try to take your hand from where you are at the moment and lead you down the road to the next appropriate step.
Thank you. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And like I said, I wanted to just keep in mind, please go to our website. We do have a lot of information. There's a lot of recorded info sessions that you may have missed. So take advantage of all these tools that we're being provided within our region. We want to see you guys succeed and definitely help you achieve some of those goals. So thank you again. I'm going to give you guys the rest of your time back. Once again, Meg will be sending out a survey and some follow-up information. So feel free to reach out to my email, abunch@emailcc.org. If you have any other questions by connecting with these resource partners of ours. And I want to thank you again for joining us today. And thank you, Audrey, again for your time. We really appreciate it.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Good luck to everyone. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Take care.